do is to call us on 020-477-5042, 020-477-5042, or 020-477-5040, 020-477-5040, or 050-141-8622, 050-141-8622. And don't miss out on this incredible opportunity. Call us now to learn more and schedule a tour of our available homes. Lakeside Estate, quality home for all. So continue enjoying this, and we will be right back on the show for more conversations. 1.9 FM with me, Nature B. Hammond, and that was Christmas Carol High Life Medley by Lodina Soprano, the soprano, actually, and she's giving us some good tunes there, and I hope you've been enjoying them right from the time we started playing them. Right about now, we get into our roundtable discussion, which is a big conversation for today. And today we're having a very important one. I mean, one that concerns students, parents, teachers, and the future of our country. Every year when examination results are released, we focus heavily on grades, on who passed, who failed, and by how much. But beyond certificates and statistics, exam results are actually a mirror, and they show us how well our education system is equipping students to think, to prepare, and to perform under pressure. Now, the 2025 WASSCE results have given us a serious cause for reflection. I mean, across the 4 core subjects, we know English language, core maths, integrated science, and social studies. Performance this year is the lowest in 4 years. Over 461,000 students candidates sat for the exam, yet less than half passed core maths. And failure rates have risen sharply across multiple subjects. So the question today is not just who failed and why, but why. We're talking about why, and more importantly, what can be done differently. When we look at the figures, English language recorded about 69% pass rate, which is the highest among the core subjects. Integrated science stood at roughly 57%. Social studies at about 56%, but core maths actually dropped drastically to about 49%, meaning that more than half of candidates did not obtain a pass mark. And we know what that means here in Ghana. Once you don't pass your maths or you don't pass any of the core subjects, it affects your chances of entering the tertiary. And that's a big problem. So failure rates are quite worrying. Core maths and social studies recording failure rates about 26%. And these are not just numbers. They represent young people whose confidence, their opportunities, and future plans are affected. Yet, even in this overall decline, some candidates still perform excellently and consistently. So today we're asking, what separates successful candidates from the rest? And to help us unpack all of this, we are joined by Dr. George Biche, a consultant infectious diseases physician and researcher, and the author of the book How to Get an A in Every Examination. Now, Dr. Che's journey began in Ghana National College through medical school at the University of Ghana into advanced research and practice abroad. But long before his professional success, he was telling me just when he came into the studio that he actually he started this work a long time ago, teaching his peers how to study, how to plan, how to prepare effectively for exams, and all of that. And the interesting thing about him was that he was the best science student also in his school the year he completed. And Dr. Che is in studio here to have this conversation with me. Doc, you're welcome to the Business Breakfast on Zed.
Thank you very much, Nee. This is a pleasure. I know I've been here a number of times in other capacities,
right.
Often discussing health issues, but this has been a passion of mine, that helping young people achieve their potential. Right. Even now, as a professor at the university, one of my main things is mentoring and helping the young people to get their direction and to get their careers going. And so I wrote this book a while ago, but I have not had the time to, if you like, make it known to a lot of students. But when I heard about this result, I was like, oh my goodness,
You have to push it.
I am, depriving these students of something that may be able to help them. So I'm glad Zed has made some time for us to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming, because it's very early in the morning. I know usually people don't like to step out of their homes very early, but you decided to come here for this conversation. It tells how much you are passionate about what we are talking about this morning. But first of all, tell me, when you heard about the results, did it come to you as a shock? Or what was your reaction?
Well, not that much as a shock, because I have some insiders in the education space, and even according to them, even this may not be as real, because apparently the students tend to get quite a bit of help during the exams, which I'm sure we all know about. I mean, that's not a topic for today, but no, but it's not a shock, because there's a lot of students and maybe fewer teachers, and students tend not to get some of what I call, skills, life skills that will enable them to do well in the exams, right? So the exam is there, the subjects are there, but students need to know that as a student, right, you are responsible. The teachers are there. It is not the teacher who is going to take the exam. So this is what I always tell people. Look, the teacher, he has finished university. He is there as an enabler, as a facilitator, right? But in life, you as an adolescent, as an adult, as an old person, you always need to take full responsibility for whatever that is ahead of you. So if we teach students this, right, it will help them, because it's like, for me, again, the teachers are very important. I'm not trying to diminish teachers at all. But what if you don't have a teacher for the subject?
Right.
What happens?
And I think that actually happens in some of the schools.
Exactly. Or what if the teacher, some teachers also teach very well, but they don't teach for the syllabus.
How so?
Well, they teach, but when you look at their notes and everything, you can't answer any past questions. So that is not going to help you in the exam either, right? So you, the student, I'm sure we'll go through, because I've written about all of these in the book. But I think we need to, first, of course, have the teachers available, but second, also teach students that, look, take matters into your own hands, right? Take matters into your hands. I mean, if you don't have a teacher, that should not be the end of the world. That should not prevent you from achieving your goals. And that is if you have goals in the first place. So one of the main things that I write about in this book is how to set goals. How to have the right attitude, how to set goals, how to manage your time, how to have study groups, and things like that. Because the students, if they take charge, let me give you an example. So when we were in secondary school, our school is pretty good. In Ghana National College is really good. But at the time, for those of us doing science, we didn't have our physics teacher. We didn't have a physics teacher, I didn't put it that way. So there was another teacher who came from another school, and he came once a week. Now, obviously, he wasn't going to finish the syllabus, right? I mean, there's no way he was going to finish the syllabus. So what I did was that I took the physics book, we call it Abbott then, and then I went through from cover to cover, making notes, answering questions, teaching my classmates. I know that most of us did pretty well in physics, right? We didn't just say that, there is no physics teacher, right? So that is what I'm trying to say, is that we need to teach the young ones right from the beginning that in life, you take matters into your own hands, because your life is yours, right? It's not even your parents, it's yours. So take matters into your own hands, take full responsibility right from the start. If we start teaching our children from JSS this kind of principles, right, I think it will change a lot of things in this country. Not only education, but our general attitude to things, the way we behave, the way we do things as a people. That will bring a lot of change.
Right. So I see the discipline part of things, and from what you're saying, it sounded that it sounds like you had a very good upbringing in terms of discipline. What would you say to that?
Well, I mean, those times, like I grew up with my aunt, who was a young woman. We had my dad and my mom were outside the country, so my aunt kind of raised me from the beginning. And now when I think about it, I was like, oh, wow, she did such a great job, because she was just a young woman with 5 children, and then those of us who were not her children also, there in the house. But she trained us, like you take your turns, you do your chores, like you, even the boys, right? We had the turn that we had to cook, so if you have a turn to cook there was a turn for you to cook for her husband. And I did my first cooking when I was 8 years old. Wow. so I still remember that till today. Right. I even remember what I cooked, So there was no like trying to specifically teach you discipline, but you learn it, as you go. And I think a lot of kids, may have that, in their houses. But, these days, because of the new technology and all of that, you need to be more intentional. So, like, I'm more intentional with my kids now because, if you leave them alone, they'll be on, TikTok the whole day, but, they need to study, and you need to put that phone away, and they need to study, So that is something that, of course, parents, should do.
So, but let me just bring myself into the conversation. One of the challenges I faced, back in junior high school, I was one of those brilliant students that you didn't need to go sit down to learn before you pass. Yeah. And so it was like that until I got to senior high school, and I realized that it was a different ball game altogether, because now this required you to sit on your butts and steady and make sure that you are putting in the work and all of that. And I struggled. I know a lot of people actually struggle. That's why I'm asking the question about the upbringing. How much of a role does parental, influence, play in the academic success of students?
Oh, it's key. I mean, that is probably more important than the teachers, right? Because students, I know in Ghana, most of our high schools are, boarding schools. But before they go, they spend 14, 15 years with you at home, right? Yeah. So, I mean, the parents' guidance and the parents' upbringing of the child is really key in making sure that, children develop the disciplines, they know when to put their phones down, they know when to study, they know how to set goals. So those are things that we as parents need to teach our children, like how do you set goals, how do you achieve them, where do you want to be, right? And then, how do you get there? So when the child has that mindset, it enables them to be able to be more disciplined by themselves. It becomes intrinsic because now they have something that they are working towards. But if we leave the children and it's like, oh, school is just school, and maybe the home is good, there's money. What I always tell children is that, look, I tell young people is that, look, your parents may have money, but money can vanish in a day, right? And anything can happen. The economy can turn down, bad things can happen. Earthquakes can remove your father's house.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, but if you have developed yourself, nobody can take that from you, right? If you have your profession, it doesn't matter which government is in power or whether it rains or doesn't rain, whatever. You will still do fine. So it is, if you teach your kids that, they know that, hey, I need to be disciplined. I need to take things in my own hands. I need to work hard.
And that's very important. Do you think, what are some of the reasons why you think we saw the results that we saw with the WASI 2025 WASI?
I'm sure it's multifactorial. I mean, anything like this is obviously very complex. I think, first of all, because there are so many students now, a lot of places may not have the good complement of teachers, right? If you don't have all the teachers, and if you haven't taught the students to kind of be able to complete the syllabus on their own, then that will happen. So that may be one. The other is, what kind of help do these students get, from home, when they come on vacation. Remember, a lot of these students also stay home quite a bit.
Yeah, the contact hours.
Yeah, and the research has shown that, like even in the US and the rest, research has shown that during the summer, when students stay at home for 3 months, if they don't do any, educational activities, when they come, some of them have dropped behind like several reading levels, right? Just within that 3 months. So, that contact hours is definitely crucial in enabling the students to do this. I think the exam, I don't think it's because the exam is hard or anything. I think it's the same exams. And I also think that a lot of students don't have the skills and the techniques to be able to how to learn. Like, how do you learn? The mechanics of learning. What tricks can you use to remember things that you learn, right? How do you set goals for your career and for your future? And how does that help you to, how do you manage your time, right? So these are things that I believe, and unfortunately, these are not usually taught in school, right?
Yeah.
We teach the English, we teach the math, we teach the social science, we teach everything, but, these skills that will help the students to take charge are often not taught. So
actually, I was going to say that because it looks like all we do is steady, learn how, but how?
Yeah.
Nobody teaches anybody how.
Yeah.
And do you think that that's something we need to put into our?
I think so. I think so. I think there has to be that, I don't know where to put it in the curriculum, whether in social studies or whatever studies, but there has to be something about teaching students, how to study, how to set goals, how to choose a career, those kinds of very important things, how to manage money, how to, those are very important life skills that everybody needs, right? And so we need to put that in the curriculum right from the beginning, not from even high school, right from JSS, like if we teach students how to manage their time, how to manage themselves, how to, choose their careers and all of those things. Those things will yield a lot of benefits.
Right. So we should find some way to fix it in our educational curriculum. All right, Doc. Now, some people actually assume that they are just not intelligent enough to be able to pass an exam. How, from your experience, is intelligence really the biggest factor when it comes to passing an exam?
No. So talent is overrated. So I've done a lot of. So I'm very interested in, and apart from being a physician and researcher, one of my other interests is in efficiency. And so I've done a lot of research on performance and achieving potential and all those things. So talent is just a small part of it.
Right.
Yeah. So to achieve your potential, or first of all, to achieve some skill, you need talent and effort.
Right.
So this psychologist from the US has determined that talent times effort leads to your skill.
Okay.
But then for achievement, you need a skill times effort again. In other words, it's talent times effort squared that leads to the achievement. So what that means is that the talent is actually a small part of it. The most important part is the effort you put in.
Right.
And the effort depends on your knowledge of how to apply the effort, right? I mean, if you are cutting down a tree and you are using a stone to try and cut it down, obviously you're not going to make any progress, but you may spend a lot of effort.
Right.
But if you know that if you have a chainsaw, obviously, you make a lot of progress, right? So the effort depends on the skills that, you need. So the students, I don't believe, that it's because the students are not talented or because they are not good or anything. I don't believe that one bit. Often what happens is that the students are disadvantaged from the beginning.
How so?
So a student at Wesley Girls or Presec or whatever, right? In my opinion, if the student at Fanchinoko Secondary School, right, gets a C or a D, it's as good as a student getting an A at Presec.
Okay.
Now, if we don't, you see, if we don't look at these things very carefully, because that student does not have the same advantage, they don't have the same set of teachers, they don't have support of, past students, they are disadvantaged right from the start. It's not because they are not innately talented. Let me give you an example. So, those times when we used to have the sixth form, afterwards they send you to go and do national service.
Yeah.
Now, I went to Boku Secondary School, right? Now, when I got there, this was in 19...
As a teacher?
Yes, as a teacher, 1990. Before we went to medical school, those times you have to go somewhere. So I was sent to Boku, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll go. Now, the science students at the time, the O-level, the science students, right? These students were good, but they didn't have the teachers. Now, when I look at it, I knew for sure that these students are going to fail the O-level. They are going to fail not because they are not talented, not because they are not good, but because they are disadvantaged. Right. They don't have the teachers. So what I did was that I made myself the teacher of everything. So I was teaching them maths, physics, chemistry, biology, what else?
Wow, you alone?
Yes, so we will meet at dawn at 5 in the morning, cover some syllables, and then we'll meet again at like 7 after supper, cover some. We did this for a whole year, and we finished the syllabus in most of the subject. Okay. Now, these students were so brilliant. There was one student that if you set a question and he gets something wrong, you have to check your answers as a teacher.
Wow.
Yeah. You see, but if they didn't get the help, no, I mean, now one of them is a doctor, a big doctor at Kolebu, some of them became engineers.
Wow.
That group of students, just because they got the help, right? It's not because, they are not brilliant. So for me, I think most students, 80-90% of students have the capacity. It's just a matter of the opportunity.
Yeah.
And so, yes, opportunity is extremely important. I think as a nation, we need to look at this very carefully.
Right.
It's good to have top tier schools, fine. But how about the child not in the top tier school? Are they not Ghanaian too? Why shouldn't they have the same computers as the person at Achimota or somewhere else, right? So those are things that, systemic issues that we definitely need to solve.
And I mean, so you talk about the inequality that we see in our education system, and how can we bring those? Do we have to, first of all, bring those tier 2 kind of schools or tier 3 schools to tier 1? How do we do that if we have to?
We have to, because they are all Ghanaians. I mean, why should we have tiers when we are all, we are supposed to be equal, right? So, I mean, this may be a bit radical, but for me, we need to make sure that if you are going to school at my village, you have the same access, right? You have the same, you have access to computers, to, internet, to AI, to everything, just like the person going to school at an elite school in Accra or Cape Coast, right? We have to do that. And I think we have to make the incentives clear. So these things, they don't just happen. They have to be intentional, right? If you, double the salary for teachers who go to villages, you have a lot of applications going there. But if you say that, it's also Ghana, so
the same conditions.
If you post, you go, they won't go. I mean, some of these things is just simple economics, right? So if you put in the right incentives, you get good teachers going there, and then of course the equipment, right, that the students need to be provided, and we have to make sure that no matter where a child is in the country, they are not disadvantaged. I mean, I'm sure if you drill down on these results, you see that the rural schools probably didn't do very well at all.
Yeah.
So that should not happen. It's not, why are those students not intelligent? They are. It's just because we didn't give them the right opportunities.
Right. Okay. Doc, in your book, you make a very strong point. Now, you've said that talent is just a small part, which means that intelligence is just a small part. And you make a very strong point in the book saying that many brilliant students struggle in exams. Why does intelligence not automatically translate into good exam results?
Yeah, because there are specific skills that you need, right? So the fact that you are extremely intelligent does not necessarily mean that you do well in exam if you don't know how to approach it, if you don't know how to answer certain types of questions, if you don't know how to study, talking about what you're talking about. Like sometimes your intelligence may carry you so far, maybe GSS, you may not study and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
But once you get to SS, and especially in university, no matter how brilliant you are, you still have to, put in some work. You may not put in as much work as some of us may have to put in, So I always tell people that as for me, I'm a hard worker, right? So, I may not be as intelligent as, you, but I will outwork you, right? So, but if the intelligence is a little bit there and you know what to do, you know the techniques to use, you know that you have to work hard, you make it.
Yeah.
So a lot of brilliant students don't do well because they don't have the techniques of how to study for exams and the things that I've detailed in the book.
And they also rely on their intelligence.
Yes.
So much so that they don't put in the work.
Yes, and actually a lot of studies have been done on this, where if you tell people that they are talented, right? If you tell kids that, hey, you are very talented, and then you give them a difficult problem, right? They are more likely to give up than the students that you say, hey, you are a hard worker. So,
right.
Yeah, the hard worker is more likely to persist and find a solution than the one so the talented one will say, oh, that is not, if I can't do it, it means I'm not talented in it, right? So if I can't do the math, it means I'm not talented in math, right? But the hard worker will find a way to solve the problem.
Right.
So talent is definitely overrated. It's definitely overrated. And we need to think more of improvement, right? So as students, how do you improve from one stage to the other, rather than, saying that, that's why like a lot of students, you were talking about the fact that the math results were not good. A lot of students say, oh, I don't like math, I'm not good in math, this and that. It's all a bunch of nonsense, right? There's nothing like, there's nothing like, I'm not good in math, right? It's just a matter of making up your mind that, hey, this is something that I have to do. How do I do it, right? So I always tell people that, look, when you have a problem, don't say, we cannot do it. Rather, what you should say is, how can we do it?
Okay.
Because those two questions immediately have, affect different parts of the brain. When you say it cannot be done, you shut everything down. You shut your brain down, because it cannot be done, cannot be done. But when you ask, how can we do it? Then it opens up a lot of your brain to now begin to innovate, begin to think. You begin to list, hey, how can we do this? Who do we need to talk to? Who do we need to call? And then you'll be able to find, a solution to the problem.
Right. Doc, we're going to come to I know that what we've spoken about so far is quite general. But let's look at the specifics, and specifically the core subjects that we see. You talk about maths. A lot of people don't do well in maths, unfortunately. Why is that? I know it's a basic subject. We all learn it from the beginning. Why do people struggle to actually pass core maths in particular?
There are many factors, right? And I think part of it is the aura that we have created around math, that it is difficult, right? So if somebody put it in your head that something is difficult, even before you start, you're already defeated, right? Because you have that mindset already. So that's one. The second is that I think maybe the way we teach the subject, right? We make it look so abstract that students feel like, what am I learning this for, right? So quadratic equation, okay, why do I have to learn quadratic equation? What is it for, right? But if the students know that this is what you need if you want to build bridges, if you want to high tension poles, if you want to, if we make it a bit more practical, the students will have more interest. And then also the issue of being able to math is a practice subject, right? You can't learn math by reading, right? You need to practice. So we need to teach the students that, look, to be able to get good in math, the only thing that matters, really, that's what also the research has shown, the only thing that matters is how much you practice solving problems. If you don't practice solving problems, you're not going to do well.
So actually going to sit down in a class for a teacher to teach you one particular...
It's nothing.
It's nothing.
No.
The work, depends on you. You have to put in the work.
Correct. The work depends on the student.
Right.
Yeah. So you need to solve a lot of problems. And because even after they've taught you a particular, subject, let's say, differential equations or whatever.
Yeah.
After it's been taught, there are so many ways that the examiners can ask the questions. And the only way for you to come across all the different ways that the examiner can solve the questions is to, get familiar with past questions and solve them by yourself. So after you solve enough of those questions, then it becomes a lot easier when you get into the exam room.
Right.
All the questions that, will show up. What I always tell students, there's no new question under the sun, right? So whatever they are going to give you has been given before in one way or the other. It's just because you've not gotten familiar with, the past, questions and so on. That's why in the book I spend a whole chapter on past questions because it's critical in how, and it can be questions from the past, or it can be questions in the book or whatever, but you need to solve problems. So as the more problems you solve, the more math will be easy for you.
Right. So is that to say that there is no student who is not good at maths?
I don't believe that. You see, when we begin to say people are not good at this or good at that, what does good mean? Fine, of course, there will be people who are like super excellent in math. They will become maybe the mathematicians of the future or the physicists of the future. That is fine. They are there. But the rest of us, at least, we should be able to get our, enough grade to go to the university and to continue our education, right? So there's nothing like you are so not good in math that you can't even, make the grade to go to the university or to do the course that you want to do. So so in that sense, everybody is good enough to, if we do the right teaching and the right techniques, it's good enough to be able to move to the next level.
Because, the numbers tell us that core mathematics failures soared to about 26.77%. F.
Yeah.
Flat.
That's sad, yeah.
And Doc, this morning you are saying that it is just a matter of them not putting in the hard work. Because if they put in the work, they would have done better.
Not only the students, but the teachers as well.
Okay, and also the conditions.
And the conditions surrounding the students. So it's obviously, again, these things are not like simple things. They are multifactorial that require a lot of input. But for me, I want to, obviously, we need to have the good teachers. We need to have the infrastructure, for the students to be taught. But the students also. So like if you go to a typical school and you ask the students, where is the math syllabus? They may not even know the syllabus. So if you don't know what you are supposed to know, how will you know if you know what you are supposed to know?
Right.
And if you don't know what you're supposed to know, then you've already, counted yourself out, right? So what I always tell students that the first thing you should do when you get to SS1 is to have the syllabus for all the subjects that you are taking. And the syllabus are available. The WAEC syllabus are available. They are not hidden. Okay? Because your teacher might not be able to complete the syllabus. But WAEC doesn't care.
That's a reality.
Yeah, they don't care. I mean, for them, they are supposed to test you on the syllabus, right? So that's what they are doing. So whether you finish one subject or you finish all the subjects, they are testing you on everything in the syllabus.
Right.
So you, the student, once you know the syllabus, then look at the history of your school. This is very important.
Yeah.
So, and do this for all your subjects. So, like, let's say you set your goal, you want to get an A in every subject. That's what I recommend for everybody. But then you realize that in your school, nobody gets A in chemistry for the past, how many years, right? If you investigate, you find that the teacher never finishes the syllabus, right? So now you know where the problem is.
Yeah.
And then the question is, how do you solve it? How do you make sure that you finish the syllabus so that you can break that, thing and get your A, right? So then what do you have to do? Do you have to go for extra classes when you get home? Do you have to contact some of your, friends in other schools who have good chemistry teachers so that you can copy their notes or, do you need to get some special pamphlet? Are there famous chemistry teachers in town that you can get their book and read, so then you find a way to solve the problem. If you don't even know that it's a problem because you don't even know the syllabus, then, you are already defeated, right? So it's extremely important. That's why I'm saying that teachers and everybody is important, but we need to begin teaching our kids to take matters into their own hands.
They need to take initiative.
To take matters into their own hands. Not just sit there and then whatever the teacher, even some teachers, what they teach, when you try to solve past questions with what they've taught you, you are not able to.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I can relate.
So it's not because they are bad teachers, it's just because maybe they are not so focused on the exam, right? But it's the exam that is going to determine whether you move to the next level or not. And so it's your responsibility to make sure that, whatever they've taught you, you're able to answer the past questions. Right. If anytime they teach you something and you're not able to answer the past questions on that, it means it's not good enough. It's not going to help you in the exams.
Okay. Right, Doc, we're going to talk about English language as well. I know you've spoken about maths. I want us to touch on English. Maybe we can also look at social studies and then science. But just before that, let me announce the phone lines in case anybody's listening to us and they want to join the conversation. You can feel free to join the conversation if you just tune in. This is Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM with me, Trebi Hammond. And this morning, having a conversation on how to pass your exams. We're looking at exactly what happened in the recent WASI results. I mean, what happened with the results and all of that. A lot of failures in there and a lot of trailings, and we're just trying to look at exactly how successful students differ from students who actually struggle at the end of the day. And my guest is Dr. George B. Che, and he's written a book on how to get an A in every examination, and he's helping us make sense of all of these things. But you can join the conversation, ask your questions, drop a comment on 0544321019, 0544321019. That's our WhatsApp number. You can send us a WhatsApp. You can send a voice note, and I'll play that for you as well. You can also call us on 0303956641, 0303956641, and then I give you the opportunity to share your thoughts with us this morning. We're streaming live on Facebook at ZFMGH and on YouTube at Z Multimedia. You can visit those platforms as well and drop a comment there, and I'll read them for you. All right, Doc, let's get back into the conversation. Now, we've spoken about maths, and we've debunked the fact that maths is difficult and not everybody is good at maths. I've seen times where in WASI results, some students, especially science students, they are able to pass all the biology, the chemistry, the physics, all the other ones, but they get, say, B in English language and all of that. Why is that so?
Again, it's what people think they are good at and what people think is important, right? So I was a science student, so I relate. Exactly. I relate very much to what you just said, right? And we, at a time, like, we focus a lot on the sciences, right? Or my chemistry, or my admins, and my maths, and all of that. And then you may not focus that much on the other subjects that are also important, right? Yeah. And let me just put it in here that, you know, the arts, even for science students, the arts are extremely important these days, because the whole world, everything is kind of like coming together, you know, with AI and all of that, you know, so the arts and sciences are sort of merging, you know, so students should not only think that, oh, because I'm a science student, I don't have to take literature serious, or I don't have to take, you know, English serious or whatever. Huh? So I think those students are brilliant. If they put their mind to it, they can definitely get an A in math as well. In English as well. Yeah. I think it's just a matter of they, you know, seeing that this is important, and then you know, putting their mind to doing it. So I think usually they don't put in much effort. In that area. That is why.
So they have to put in a lot more efforts. Yeah. Because of our time, we will not be able to touch on science and social studies. But let's get back into the conversation. Now, in the book, right from the beginning, I see that you talk about attitude as something very, very important to all of this. Why is mindset such a critical foundation for exam success?
Mindset is everything. So mindset is so important, and now a lot of the psychology, you know, when I wrote this, even those studies hadn't come out, but now a lot of psychology, you know, research is telling you that, look, your mindset is key. You know, there is what you call the fixed mindset, and then there's what you call the growth mindset. A fixed mindset is somebody who is saying that, oh, I'm not good in this, or I'm not talented in this, or those kinds of things, right? And a growth mindset says that I can improve in this, right? That is a mindset that a student needs to have, that I can improve. So the attitude is very important, because there are students, so I talk about a number of attitudes in there. So one of the attitudes you have to have is like a serious attitude. Look, if you are in secondary school, your parents are sacrificing. Some of us are from poor homes, and your parents are sacrificing to take you to school. Even if it is free SHS, they are still, you know, sacrificing to put you there. Yeah. So you have to determine that you're going to make something out of your life, right? Don't follow the aimless crowd. Make sure that, you know, you are there to study, and that's what you are there to do. And then you have to have that can-do attitude. You see, our brain is such that anytime you say you can do something, you know, it then permits you to do it. But when you say you can't, then, you know, case closed, right? So that can-do attitude, that attitude of, you know, hard work doesn't kill, hard work is not going to kill me, you know, it's extremely important. So the attitude that I can do this, and therefore I'm going to find ways to do it, is so critical for exam success. Because you may not like all your subjects, or, you know, like all your teachers, but hey, if you're in school, you're not there to fall in love with your subjects or to fall in love with your teachers, okay? Right. Your teacher is not your father, okay? so you are there to pass your exams, right. Okay? So whatever you have to do, that is what you have to do, okay? You may not like math that much, but if you don't pass it, you're not going to university. So what are you going to do, right? You have to, you know, do all you can, you know, to do well, you know, in that subject. Yeah. And then you have to talk to the teachers whether you like them or not, right? So the attitude is extremely important in success. Not only in exam, but basically in life.
In life,
it's in life. So you should always have the, you know, the right attitude. The can-do attitude, the attitude that, hey, we can do this, you know. I'm always full of faith, always full of that, hey, we can get it done. Because I realize once you say we can get it done, doors begin to fly open for you. You begin to see ways that you can get it done. Yeah.
Right. Doc, also in Ghana, lots of students actually face pressure from parents, from society, from their schools. How much damage does fear and anxiety play in or do to a student even before they enter the exam hall?
Oh, you mean like during the exam itself?
Yes.
So there, I think one of the chapters I talk about never panic. That's the last, I think, topic in the book.
In the book.
So exams, a little bit of anxiety is good. A little level of adrenaline during the exam is good for all of us. But panicking obviously is not going to help, because once you are panicking, you cannot think.
Yeah.
So it's extremely important to find a good medium where you are relaxed enough to be able to think, during the exam. Now, the best way to be confident is to prepare, right? If you are prepared, right, you've gone through all the steps in the book, you have, done your homework, you've solved many past questions, your anxiety level will be much lower than if you haven't prepared, and, there's fear, you see past questions, you can't solve them. Obviously, even the little will vanish once you get into the exam room. Yeah. So I always say your insurance against fear is preparation.
Wow. Please repeat that.
So your insurance against fear is preparation, right?
Wow.
So you need to prepare before you get into that exam room, and everything will be fine.
Because I was actually going to ask you why people actually, or why students panic. And now then, of course, it's the opposite of what you just said. If you're not prepared, then you're going to end up panicking, and it will affect the outcome at the end of the day. All right, let's talk about goal setting. And I think that's one of the very strongest points you made in the book.
Yeah.
You talk about SMART goals. What are they?
So goals are extremely important, right? So a goal is something that you write down about where you want to go and how you want to get there. And so every student, when they are in school, should be taught about goal setting. Because often the reason why a lot of students are aimless is because they don't have any goals. They don't have things that they want to achieve. So if you're a student, let's say you are in secondary school, what do you want to become, right? Do you want to become a policeman? Do you want to become a pharmacist, a doctor, a journalist, a lawyer, whatever, engineer, the best mathematician in the world, whatever you want to become? That sets the long-term goal framework, right? Because that enables you as a student to be able to have something that you are working towards. And as human beings, when you have something that you are working towards, it helps you to get focused. It helps you to be disciplined. It helps you to be on track. So we should teach students this early, in their lives, so that they have that. Now the goals should be SMART. This is something that is well known in business circles. It has to be specific. So let's say the S stands for specific. So let's say you are in school, and you want to pass your exams. Don't say my goal is to pass the English exam. Right? What does pass mean? Pass can be A, or it can be D or whatever, right? So you say, I want to get, an A in the exam, in the English exams, right? That is a specific goal. It's specific. It has been measurable. Measurable means that, like, if you achieve it, you should be able to know that you've achieved it. And if you didn't achieve it, you should be able to know that you didn't achieve it.
Right.
So let's say if you say that I want to solve all the, English or the maths past questions from, 2005 to, 2025 or whatever, right? And then, so that is a pretty specific goal, but it doesn't have any time bound, right? So, but let's talking about, measurable. If at a certain point you have not, achieved that, then you know that you haven't achieved it. If you finish it, you know you finished it, right? So that is why it has to be specific and measurable, right? The A is like achievable. As much as you're enthusiastic, you also want to be measured in terms of, so because if you set the goal like super, super high, you may get frustrated.
Right.
At the same time, if your goals are such that you can achieve them without extra effort, it's not a good goal, right? Your goals should enable you to stretch, right? To stretch beyond your current capability, because like everybody has a potential, and I define your potential as like the thing that you are capable of achieving, right? If you put in the right effort. Now, if you're capable of getting an A and you get a B, you perform below your potential, right? If you're capable of getting first class in the university and you get second lower, you perform way below your potential, right? Yeah. So, but how do you know where your potential is? How do you know what you're capable of achieving? Right? That's a very good question, right? And the only way to know is to stretch yourself way beyond your current comfort level.
Okay.
Then you will know, right? Then you will know where you can get to, right? And it's elastic. And the more you stretch yourself, the better you'll be able to achieve more. Right. Yeah, so that's achievable, right? And then the R, people say, realistic, relevant, resource-oriented. I like resource-oriented better. Because I don't like realistic, because who says, something is realistic or not, right? So, I mean, when, Elon Musk wanted to go to space, people say it wasn't realistic. So realistic for me, is relative, right? But resource-oriented is good, because at the end of the day, your goals should lead to a result.
Right.
I have solved all the past questions, right? I have, completed the syllabus, right? I've gotten an A in this subject. Right. That is the result, right? It should be result-oriented. And it should be time-bound. Goals should not just be set. It should be at a certain time. So if you are talking about, past question thing, I want to solve the past question for the past 10 years by, a certain date, right? So that when that date comes, you will know whether the goals have been achieved or not, right? Yeah. So it's critical, that students learn how to set goals. The other things about goals is that goals should not be in your head. So this is critical. Goals should always be written down. You should write down your goals in your notebook, in your, computer, wherever you can see them the most. Okay? So even up to today, if you come to my phone, I have my goals for this year.
Wow.
I look at them almost every morning. You can see, right? Yeah. So goals must be written down, and you must, look at them often, because that's the only way to keep them in mind and to, help you to achieve them. If you have close friends or loved ones, it's important they know your goals, because often they are the ones who will come and distract you.
Yeah.
But if they know it, then they are more likely to give you room for you to pursue your goals. So we need to, and it's important because when you set the goal, then you will know what is missing. So I put up a scenario in the book where this girl is saying that, she wants to be a pharmacist. So that's her goal, that at the end of SS, she wants to achieve enough grades to be able to make it to pharmacy school. So if you set that goal, it's a good goal. It's a specific goal. It's time-bound, all of that. But then it's a big goal. So the question is, how do you do that? So now she needs to find out, what grades do I need to be able to get into pharmacy school? It's very competitive. Maybe you need A's in all of your science subjects and all of your, and, but now that you know that you need A's, right? The question is, in your school, how many people get A's in those subjects? Right? If the history doesn't favor you getting an A, then the question is, what do you need to do to be able to get that A?
Right.
This is where taking matters into your own hands is critical, because then you need to figure out, okay, in my school, the best grade in, let's say, physics is always a C. So how do I move from a C to an A? Then you realize that, okay, I may have to talk to some other students in this other school. I may have to get a teacher at home. Then you set the process in motion to be able to achieve the goal. So goal setting, obviously, is critical, in all areas of life, right? Here you're talking about exam, but you have to set goals in your married life, your spiritual life, your career, your career. So it's everywhere.
But I mean, in the context of exam, what would a practical or maybe a typical goal for a student who is preparing for BC or WASI look like?
Yeah.
Is it going to be subject based? Is it going to be? I mean, I want you to talk about that.
Yeah,
yes.
I hear what you're saying. For you see, there is bigger goals and there are smaller goals. You should set the bigger goal first because that will determine the smaller goal.
Okay.
So if let's say you are doing WASI, what are you doing the WASI for?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So because after the WASI, you're going to go to university.
Yeah.
What do you want to go and do there? Right? So if you know that, okay, I want to go to the university and do administration or and do actuarial science or do, law, whatever. That big goal should help you to set goals for your various subjects. Because then you find out, okay, what do I need to get into law, for instance? And then you realize that, hey, you need to get maybe A in this, in this, minimum B in this and that. Now remember, there's competition. So the minimum grades that the universities say you need, forget it. Forget it, forget it. Because that's just the minimum.
The minimum.
That is set by maybe the country or something.
Right.
But there are many people competing, right? And so you have to, go way above the minimum that they say is needed for, whatever course that you want to go and do. And then set goals far above that. So that will determine what goals you set for the various subjects that you are studying. And then, you take it from there.
Yeah.
Right? So set a bigger goal first. Find out what is needed to achieve that goal. Go beyond that, and that will give you a good goal to pursue.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, let's talk about time management briefly as well. Then we go to study habits. I think that's also one of the things that you talked about. When it comes to time management, many students actually complain that there is no time. And you hinted that from the beginning. They say that they don't have time, they don't even know how to. Is it a matter of, is it genuine lack of time?
Yeah.
Or lack of planning?
Yeah. Let me just say, if you're a student, whether a university student or whatever, and you think you don't have time, well, it's not going to get any better. That's what I'm going to say.
You're never going to have time.
No, it's not going to get any better, right? So, like right now, I would say I don't have any time. But we always have time for things that are important to us. That is just normal human life. We always make time for things. Nobody has time. We have to make time, right? And I put, in the book some certain characteristics of time, right? So time is difficult to define time, but time is always passing. We all have the same amount of time. So if you say you don't have time, I don't understand, because you have 24 hours, I have 24 hours.
Yeah.
Time is actually the only democratically given resource, right? Because you may have different talents, you may have different backgrounds, different families, different teachers. We all have the same amount of time, right?
Yeah.
The president, he is probably the busiest man in Ghana. He has the same amount of time as I have and as you have, right? So, time is passing all the time. It won't come and announce to you that it is passing by, So, and the only time you have is really now, right? Because now is the only time that we have.
It's promised.
Because yesterday is gone. Tomorrow you don't know. You may be in the hospital or something. So you need to make use of the time now, right? So I always have this saying: say, if you have something to do it now, because today will be yesterday.
Right.
Yeah. Today will be yesterday, right? So students need to know how to manage the time that they have. And actually, for students, it's actually pretty easy once you know what to do, because a lot of the things are already structured.
Structured for you, yeah.
Yeah. So, first thing you have to learn is what are priorities, right? So priorities. So some things are urgent, right? But they are not important, right? So let's say your friend wanting to go and, accompany me to, somewhere that they can go by themselves. That is urgent, because they are going right now. But it's not important. They can go by themselves, right? Some things are urgent and important, right? So somebody is sick, you need to help them. That is urgent, important. The exam is coming tomorrow. That is urgent, important. You need to pay attention. Some things are not urgent. They are not important. Those things, as a student, you should always get them out of your life, right? So
Can you give an example?
Yeah, you don't have to go and do TikTok. You know, is not urgent. It is not important.
And even relationships in school.
Yeah, exactly. You know, or getting a girlfriend in school, a boyfriend in school, and then, you know, overdoing it is not urgent, it's not important, right? So those not urgent, not important things, you should try. I mean, not try. I mean, you should get them out of your life so that they will give you more time.
Right.
The most important quadrant in this is the things that are not urgent but important.
Not really? I thought you were going to say is the one that is important and urgent.
No. The thing that will help you advance the most in your life, and this goes for not just exam, but life in general, is the not urgent and important things. So studying for that exam that is, you know, 3 months away. Right? Cultivating that relationship that, you know, will bring you benefits. Learning that skill, right, that will help you to advance to the next level, right? Those things are not urgent, but they are important. And those are the things that you need to pay attention to. When you pay attention to them, then they will not spill into the urgent and important category, right? So let's say if you have not studied for that, you know, literature, you know, subject, then because you knew that the exam was 3 months away. At that time, it was important but not urgent. You didn't study. Now it's tomorrow. All of a sudden, it has become urgent and important. So now you are not doing all night. Obviously, you may not do well in the exam. So the idea of paying attention to the not urgent and important quadrant is to make sure that they don't spill into the urgent and important quadrant.
Okay.
So it's very, that's the most important quadrant as a student in life, in terms of time management. That is the most important part that you need to pay attention to. And that is where you need a timetable as a student. Every student should make their own timetable, not just the school timetable. The school timetable should be a subset of your own timetable, where like every week, you know, you make a weekly timetable where the school timetable, you put that in because that one is already set. You know when you have to go for lunch, when you have to get up, when you have to do math, English, whatever. So that's fine. So now it's then up to you. The next thing is to allocate time for things that you do by yourself, that you can control the time. So things like, you know, when you are bathing, when you know, grooming, those things. And then put time now to study for the various subjects, right? Allocate time on your timetable for that, right? So you allocate time for that. Depending on, you know, your strengths and your weaknesses in the subject, you may put more or less time. But this is where it's critical because these exams are often not urgent until they become urgent, right? Yeah, they are not urgent until they become urgent because, like, we know that, oh, you know, it's WASI, you know, it's next year or something, right? So, but, you know, but this is the time to put, you know, every week do something, something, you know, put that on your timetable. And then once you have a good timetable, then you try and stick to it as much as possible. And then you encourage your friends to have their own timetables as well, so that they don't come distracting you, with office, to go and do things that are not going to help in your studies, right? So once you have the timetable, there are a few things. So don't become a slave to the timetable. Obviously, somebody needs your help, real help urgently. you don't say, oh, it's time for physics, when they are sick and you need to help them, right? But also try and stick to it. There's no point in making a timetable if you are not going to follow it. So students need to have their own personal timetable. And usually what you do is maybe once a week, I usually do this, even still today, do it like on Sunday, look at, my schedule, look at my timetable for the week, look at what needs to change, or if, because like for a student, maybe there's some exam is coming on Friday, you may want to put some more effort, in trying to prepare for it and things like that. So so those are some of the things for time management for students. So.
Right. Well, exactly 34 minutes after 9. This is the Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM with me, Trebi Hammond. Successful candidates. I mean, what you need to be able to pass your exams. Exactly what separates successful candidates from the rest. And my guest is Professor or Doctor. Is it Doctor or Professor? Because I need to get it.
I know.
Okay, so let me give Professor George Biche, and he has written a book on how to get an A in every examination, and he's helping us get a sense of exactly what every student needs to have to be able to pass their exams. So if you just join the conversation, you can actually be a part of it fully by sending me a WhatsApp on 0544321019, 0544321019. You can send your comments and your questions to that number and I will read them for you. You can also call us on 030395661, 030395661, and I give you the opportunity to share your thoughts with us right here. We're streaming live on Facebook at ZFMGH and also on YouTube at Z Multimedia. Please do well to like, comment, follow, and share with your family and friends and get them to also be a part of this conversation. That's very important. If you know a young person that needs to hear this, make sure that you share the link with them and then they can also join. All right, Doc or Prof, any of them, right?
Yeah.
Prof, let's talk about study habits. Now, I think that's one of the most important things also in the book. We're looking at the study methods and some of the common mistakes that people make. A common phrase that we hear is, I studied hard, but I still failed.
Yeah.
A lot of times people say that. From your experience, what are the most common study mistakes that students make?
Yeah, so studying hard per se, does not guarantee success, right? So like I was saying, if you are using a stone to cut a tree, you may sweat a lot, but you're not going to make any progress in cutting that tree, right? So you need to have the right techniques for studying,
right?
And the way I put it is that first, after you set your goals and managing your time and all of that, you need to know your tools for success.
Okay.
So what tools do I need, right? So you need your syllabus, right? You need your teachers, right? Those are all tools for you as a student. Again, I'm putting the student at the center of this, right?
Yeah.
It's not about the teacher. The teacher is not the one going to take the exam. It's you, the student. So what are the tools that the teacher is just a tool for you as a student, okay? And then the syllabus is always there, and then obviously, the books, pamphlets, notes. Make sure you talk to people and get the good ones, right? So that is there. Another thing you need that helps a lot is a study group.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that too.
Yeah, because often you have a lot of material to study, and when you have a group, the group brings its collective wisdom. Even if you meet once a week for just a couple of hours, you can study a lot of material within a short period of time. So that is something that I write extensively about it, how to set it up and all of that in the book. And then the other thing too is like, how do you go about the mechanics of studying itself, right? So what are the best practices, right? So let's say you have a topic, photosynthesis or something to study, in general science, right? How do you do that, right? Assuming you don't have a teacher, how do you do that, right? So the first thing is to learn how to use the SQ3R method.
What is that?
So the SQRRR method or SQ3R method is something that has been proven to help students master various subjects. So the first is called survey, right? So survey is where you take the whole chapter and then you just survey it, like go through, flip, look at, the general headings and all of that for that chapter. Okay. And then once you have that, the Q is question.
Okay.
So you ask yourself, okay, what is this topic about? Then, based on your survey, you have an idea what the topic is about. You can also go even to if the chapter has like questions after the chapter, go and read those questions. You don't know it or you haven't studied it, but go and read those questions. Now, this helps your brain because once you read the questions and you don't know, your brain now becomes curious.
Yeah.
So when you get to that point where the answer is during your reading, you are more likely to now remember it and it will get stuck in your brain.
Okay.
You get it?
Yeah.
It's like we've all had this situation where like you are in class, right? And then everybody was watching you. The teacher asked a question. You didn't know the answer. And then, somebody says the answer. You realize that answer will never leave your head.
Yeah,
why? It was because of the circumstance, right? Your brain has now etched that into it. So it's the same way. So you can even what I used to do is that even before I learn the topic, I'll go and look at the past questions on the topic.
Okay. What does that do?
Exactly. What does that do? How does it make sense? What it makes sense is that it helps you to know what to look for. And also, what are the things that are important to examiners, right? So even before you go and learn the topic. So that when you are learning it, when you see that, oh, okay, this was what I saw in that past question. Oh, this is what I saw. Oh, this is what I saw, right?
Right.
And so that is the kill part, right? And then the first R is read. So now you go about your usual reading. Where you do your reading, you take notes and all of that, right? And then the second R is recite, where especially when it comes to definitions and things like that, you try to write it down by yourself or speak it out, because our brain typically when you read something, the typical person after 48 hours you've forgotten 50% of it. That's normal. Okay, it's normal. It's not because you are not brilliant. That is what it is for everybody. Okay, but then when you go back to it, right, you remember almost 90% of it almost immediately. Like it comes back. It comes flooding back. Wow. Right. So the reciting part helps you to remember more, because, and especially when you coordinate your brain with your hands and you write it down, it helps to even remember more, because that brain-hand coordination helps the memory pathways to be able to crystallize.
Right.
So that's why when you learn something, one of the best ways to remember it is to write it.
Okay.
So that's the second R. And the third R is review. So review is like, typically if you learn something new, try to go back to it within like 72 hours. Not to learn it over again, but to go through quickly, because it is now going to reinforce it. And then the likelihood that you're going to forget is going to be low, right? So if you use this kind of techniques to study any subject, you may not even need a teacher for it. You'll be able to do most of the studying yourself. But obviously this takes time, right? So it also means that as a student, you have to make sure that you put in the time, right? So, I mean, there's no shortcut to it, right? You need to put in the time, to study. You need to sit on your, 2 buttocks, and you need to study. What I say is that hard work doesn't kill anyone, right? But if you don't work hard, the Bible says all hard work brings profit. But mere talk leads to poverty, right? So you have to put in the hard work, and that will yield, the fruit.
All right. Okay. So one of the things that I also see in the book is about cramming. Is that ever effective?
It could be, but it's not sustainable, right? So, for instance, if you haven't studied the thing and the day before the exam you want to stay up all night, obviously it's not going to go very well, because you need, especially if the questions are questions that are not like rote answers, but you need to like think, right?
Yeah.
If you need to think and you haven't slept, it's not going to be good for you, because your brain cannot make those connections when you are sleep deprived, right? This is why, again, important but not urgent. You have to pay attention to that and make sure that you prepare, slowly, but in advance, so that when the exams comes, you are more confident and you are able to, to be successful.
All right. Okay. So I think we've spoken about quite a number of things. We'll move to the past questions. You mentioned that, and I said we're going to talk about that. They are very popular among students, yet results keep declining. What are students doing wrong with past questions?
So you have to know how to use past questions. The fact that you have past questions doesn't mean you're going to be successful. You need to know how to use them. First of all, if you use them well, they are extremely helpful, because the past questions are based on the syllabus, and the syllabus hasn't changed. So the questions are not really going to change that much. There may be variations here and there. So they are extremely important. These days, during our time, like somebody has the past question, somebody has this. They were not compiled like the way they are compiled now. So like some of us, we even used to copy them by hand. Okay. Like I had a notebook that I used to copy past questions in. So like in chemistry, for instance, at A level, I had like a notebook where I copied past questions from like 1968 to like 1989. We did that.
Writing all of that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So if I see that somebody has it, I'll take it and copy. You have this one, I'll take this and copy.
Wow.
So I don't really had more than everybody else. Okay. So, but these days you don't have to do that. There's photocopying, there are binders, there's everything. So it's actually even a lot easier. So then the question is, why is it that they are available, but it's not helping as much as it should? So first of all, you should know the subject to be able to use the past questions, right? So if you have the past question, just having it is not going to help you. You need to be able to understand the topic so that you can use the past question to help you understand it more, right? So that's one. Second, a lot of these past questions also have books that they have been solved. And in the book I give this warning that, you see, when you see a solved question, it doesn't mean you can solve it when you see it in the exam. So, because when you have not struggled and you just look at the solution that somebody has provided, your brain doesn't encode the problem. Okay. So the way to use it is that you have to not look at the solutions that somebody has provided. You have to take the question by themselves, and then you have to solve them, do your own research, and solve them. That is when the past question is going to be useful for you. It's not when you go and read somebody's solution. The only time you should read somebody's solution is when you've done everything you can and still couldn't solve it for some reason. Even that, you should let your study group have a go at it. That's what we used to do. So we had even in secondary school, we had study groups. So like if there's a math problem that, I cannot solve, one of my friends was really good in math, then we'll give it to him, go and try. If he's not able to solve, then we'll meet together and see whether And then we'll see who can solve it first. Okay, sometimes too. Okay.
Right.
So you have to try and do the solution yourself. Because reading the solution, you think you know, but actually you don't know. If you face the thing under exam conditions, you'll not be able to solve it. Okay. So that is the best way. And the other way to use past questions is that don't wait until you finish the syllabus to use it. I think that's another mistake that students make.
Right.
So make sure that whilst you are doing the various subjects, the various topics, you flip through the past questions and find questions on that topic. Right. So let's say you are doing simultaneous equations in general math, right? What you do is that after you've done simultaneous equations, go through all the past questions and find all the simultaneous equations questions and try to solve them. Right. Now, this does a number of things for you. First of all, the most important, it helps you to know the various ways that examiners can examine that topic.
Okay.
Because your teacher is not going to be able to give you all those examples. So as you go through, you realize that, oh, okay, this simultaneous can come in this way, it can come in this way, it can come in that way, it can come in that way. So when you go to the exam and you meet that, you realize that no matter where they will pass, where the examiners will try to trick you, you'll be there.
You'll be there.
And then finally, another way to use past question is to simulate your own exam. So you do that when you've done almost finished the syllabus. So you take time. Let's say the math paper usually is like 3 hours, right? So you take time. Today you're going to do a math paper. You take a math past paper, preferably one that you haven't looked at before. And then you sit down for 3 hours and solve the question like you are in the exam.
Okay. So you time yourself.
Yes. So you set the time and just like, okay, and then you go by the instructions, answer, there are sections. They say that answer,
section A,
like,
section B.
You do the same thing like you're in the exam. And then when you finish, you can now, you are going to obviously have some difficulties and all of that. But after the time is up, then you can go and, where you had difficulty, you can go and look for the solutions in your books, in your notebooks, and things like that. So if you use past questions that way, they're going to be useful for you.
But is that why, talking about timing yourself and all of that, is that why students lose marks even when they understand the topics in the exam? Is that why?
Yeah, because like a lot of students are not able to finish. So they will say that, oh, I knew that thing, but I wasn't able to finish. You're not able to finish because you haven't practiced enough. Because the exam room, that is nowhere to do too much thinking, right? Because it should be, it is true. It's not where to, if you are very familiar with past questions, the exam room, you don't think a lot because you've seen similar things before.
Right.
So you just keep, breezing through. So otherwise, you're going to waste a lot of time. Also, some students spend a lot of time on difficult questions.
That's true.
So what the advice is that if the question is difficult and it's going to go and do the easier ones first and come back later. At least you get the marks for those ones. And then come back later when you have time. Because if it's difficult, you may not be able to solve it. And it may take 30 minutes of your time and your time is gone. Now you can't have time to solve the easier questions. So that is, a trick that you can use, especially if it's multiple choice. Please. Often every question carries the same amount of marks. So there's no point in spending 5 minutes on one question that you are not getting the answer. Just move on.
Right.
Pick something and move on. You can note it, and later if you have time,
you come back.
You can come back. Yeah.
All right, Doc. I think it's been a great conversation. I've learned a lot, but we have to go. Our time is almost up. It's actually up. We just touch on a few things. So maybe some final takeaways, and then we can go. I wanted us to talk about exam or practice, which is also one of the things that you talk about in the book, and then the parents and all of that. But let's wrap up on that. On the key takeaways that everybody should take away. So if a student is listening to us right now, what are some 3 things that they can change about how they prepare for exam that will transform their lives?
Yeah. So the first is to have very clear, smart goals of what you want to achieve and where you want to get to. That is key for every student. The second is to take ownership of the whole thing, right? Again, your teachers are good, your parents are good, but you as a student, it's your life. Take ownership of it.
Yeah.
And say that I'm going to do this. And then once you say that, then you have to figure out how, to do that, right? Yeah. And then the third is to make sure that you put in the hard work.
Okay.
Right. The hard work is extremely important. There's no way around that. And then learn the techniques that are going to help you, like some of those in the book, right? Those are techniques, that will help you to make things easier for you, so that your effort will pay off, right? Because you want your effort to pay off. And for your effort to pay off, you have to have some skills and some knowledge. And that is why I wrote this book, to give students those kinds of skills. Yeah.
Look, how can people get this book?
So you can get it on Amazon. So it's on Amazon.
Okay.
The electronic version, and also the other paper version. I don't know if the paper version is available in Ghana, but you can definitely get the electronic version. You can also get it from Ideal College, which is right here, close by Zed. It's at Trinity.
Yeah, that's stretch.
Yeah, so you can get it from there too. And I think very soon, so I'm working on the revised version, which should come out early next year, and that will be on all social media platforms, so you can download it.
Is there a number people can call if they want a copy or something?
Yeah, so if you are a school, I will encourage you to get a copy for your students. That one you can call me 055 198 9937.
Please mention it again.
055 198 9937.
37, okay.
Yeah, but if you are in Accra and you want to get like a single copy or some copies, you can call a teacher at Ideal College, 024 211 1937.
Please mention it again.
024 211 1937. And it's Sir Aqua, or Teacher Aqua. That he can get you copies.
There's so much in the book. Unfortunately, we can't cover everything. But thank you so much for coming, Doc. Yeah. Yes, maybe there's a student listening to us finally, just before you go, who is discouraged by their results. Maybe just give them a word, and then
I'll say don't be discouraged. You can do it. Gather yourself. I know it's disappointing, but in life we all get disappointed one time or the other. But gather yourself. Improve your skills on how to study. Take ownership, and I'm pretty sure you can make it.
Right, Doctor, Prof. Thank you so much for coming, and thanks so much for sharing your insights with us. I'm really, really grateful that you did.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, okay. Please do enjoy the rest of your day. And that was okay. He says so. Professor George B. Che. And he has written a book. He's an author. He's written a book on how to get an A in every examination, and he's been talking to us right from 8:30, and he's giving us a lot of tips to be able to pass exams. And I hope that every parent who has listened this morning will get a copy of the book for their children, and also instill some of the things that we've spoken about into their children, and they also get to learn a few things and be able to ace their exam. And for young people who listen to us this morning, you have your starter pack now, so go and make all the A's. Clearly, exam success is not about shortcuts. It's not about luck. It's not about fear. It's about the mindset, the preparation, the discipline, and the strategy that you put in there. If we truly want to improve outcomes in Ghana, then we must stop treating exams as battles and start treating them as skills that can be learned. And That is what we're speaking about this morning. Of course, that's how we wrap up on today's Business Breakfast on Zed 101.9 FM. My name is Nitra B. Hammond. We're back again tomorrow for more interesting conversations. Please keep listening to Zed 101.9 FM. And when you think Ghana, do all to think Zed. I'll see you tomorrow. Up next is A Brighter Side with Jeremy Okorie Amwako. Bye-bye.